we're going to dive headfirst into this Forbidden Unlimited prediction video. Now, as you can all see before you, we have a range of cards and we have 6 different subcategories. We've got banned, limit, semi-limited, free, no change, and then hot takes. I am joined by both Shane and Terry for this one. I thought getting more brains together on this one would be quite worthwhile. Get people's other different opinions and just kind of see what people have in common, I guess, with the current format and kind of what we would possibly be considering that might happen in January. So just as a bit of a preview or a bit of an idea of what could happen in January and February, we've got the brand new core set Burst Protocol. We do also know that there is the legendary modern dex, which does involve Mitsurugi. So you can't imagine that any particular Forbidden Limited list would completely wipe Mitsurugi off of the face of playable Yu-Gi-Oh! But that is something to kind of take into account. Burst Protocol introduces to rocket support, branded support, and a couple of other different support, stuff like Radiant Typhoons. And then we also have the Charmer all-foil Chronicle decks as well. Not that that's really going to affect the current Forbidden Unlimited list, but this could be something that would be good to take a look at. Now, this is live, so I will be taking into all of the chat accounts as well, talk about certain cards that may come back, cards that we might have overlooked, because maybe they're not cards that are directly affected by the current meta or the current game state, but it kind of just gives you an idea of what we may or may not be looking at. So what I'll do is I'll throw this out to Shane first, let him choose a card that he thinks is going to change. It doesn't need to go in order of this one. Then I'll throw it to Terry, and then we'll do one card each and kind of adapt it around. We'll try and keep all of our hot takes for the end of the video, as you can already see that I've got 2 Electromites up there as well. So Shane, take us away with your first card. Maybe it's the card, maybe we'll start with banned. So the first card you think that is currently in the game right now that could get banned.
I'm going to go with Harpy's Featherstorm. I think this is going to be a late addition to the removal of Floodgate lingering like effects that seem to have been selected recently. I think with the upcoming Radiant support in the next set, I just generally think of them having access to not either just hard opening or thrusting, a card that says your opponent can't play for this turn because I control Winged Beast. I just don't think it's fair, interactive, or fun. I think, it was present when Flew Under Ease was a deck. I think it's just going to be a late cleanup for unfair / unfun cards in this one.
Yeah, I can kind of second that as well and agree with you on that one. It is a card that exactly when Flunderees was around, that just being able to technically turn skip your opponent, it's never fun in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So you always kind of want to try and keep in mind what could possibly be happening, especially in the future. And I feel that we're kind of in a better position where stuff like that is seen. Less so, like, I still think stuff like Droll might be semi-necessary. Take that as you see fit or however you want to look at it. But there are definitely cards around that it's quite nice to kind of get out of the game.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, with Droll and Lock, it's not fair not being able to add cards but it's just for the turn. You can, whereas Featherstorm is just, you cannot do anything. Like, anything you do will resolve negated. Yeah, like you said, Droll is one of those necessary evils, I think, even for the time being. 100%.
Yeah, exactly that. Terry, what is the first card on your kind of list, or first card you would expect to get banned?
Unfortunately, I could see it being Herald. That would be that fight.
Yeah, so I mean, and you're coming from a yummy position as well.
Yeah.
But for me, from a synchro position, I completely agree with you. It'll be one of them ones that is going to be collateral damage in a sense of, we usually always get these. Like, we kind of loot off of them a bit lately. But Herald it's just one of the ones. I feel like to be an Omni-Negate, it seems that we're moving a little bit away from generic accessible Omni-Negates, which is one thing to kind of keep in mind. But then on top of that as well, we're also trying to the fact that it's a semi-floodgate, like banishing cards sent from hand and deck, hand and deck, or banishing monsters, sorry, can be very, very damaging in the current modern game as well. So I agree with you. As a bit of a disappointment, it would be very, very to lose it in synchrons would suck. But I do fully understand that it could be a card that currently is limited at 1, and then also the fact of the matter is that it's as powerful as it is in a current top end meta deck does make it something that is more deserving of a ban in comparison to something else.
Well, I think it'd be able to bridge engines as well, on top of being a floodgate and an omni gate. I think it's a bit too strong.
Yeah, that's the other point. Well, you kind of say it pretty well. To be fair, it's not just one meta deck that it features in; it is 2. Can they still play Herald? I can't remember how they used to make it now. Mitsurugi's, I mean.
Mitsurugi.
Omni gate, it'll make the and do 2 string.
Mitsu make it.
Or still all 3 they play. They don't play March, do they?
Yeah.
Play the area.
Well, to be fair, it's not just one meta deck that it
Yeah,
features.
self pack. What's called?
I don't think Mitsu can't really.
They can't make it now, but they used to, didn't they? What did or was it just
No.
Triff's concoction?
No. It's just been in Triff's concoctions and.
Oh, sorry, it was Mitsu Yummy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yummy. You got to go up.
Sorry, Captain. It's part.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, I knew it got used. I just couldn't remember how. Okay. Let's have a look at the next one. So, I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of cards that would potentially be banned. Now, when I say a huge amount, there's a lot of cards around that, yes, okay, I would not be massively surprised if they did upgrade something like a Dormouse to being banned. I feel it's a lot easier to go from 1 to none than going from 3 to none in the current scheme of everything. Yeah. So when we're looking at cards like that, and it's mainly down to extra deck monsters as well. So there's extra deck monsters where usually, unless you're playing multitudes of them, so an Arfulion, for example, you could afford to put Arfulion from 3 to 2 or 3 to 1, then it makes it a little bit more awkward. But for another extra deck monster, something like a Baguska, this could be very, very tricky for them to navigate around. Now, we've already kind of semi-talked about a future possible meta contender in Radiant Typhoons. We've also talked about a current meta contender in the form of Yummies. So let's talk about another current meta contender and a card that's been around for quite a while and how this card actually survived the... what was it was ages ago, but it was something like Slash Draw? And you would literally just stack your deck because you'd go through it so many different times. So kind of piggybacking off of Shane, who mentioned this prior to this kind of discussion. Saruja, now I don't think that this is as logical or as likely to happen as the other 2 cards on this. And as a disclaimer, this entire list will not reflect the entire list we expect to happen. This is something where, for example, and just to kind of clarify it for everyone watching, we have 2 more Yummy cards on this list. We are not saying that they will ban Herald and then X a Carpsy and X a Snatchy. We're saying that there would probably be 1 or 2 of these more logically to be adapted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the more logical ones to go to the left, to the closest to them, and the least logical, but where I would personally put them, to go to the right. Like, I don't see Saruja going to be banned personally. Like, it's definitely not getting limited. Like, it would be ban or don't bother. So that's kind of where I would see it going on that one. So I'm going to throw this back to you, Shane. What is your next one that you would possibly see getting a banned?
Red Ransom.
Red Ransom. No mercy for the malice.
No malice for mercy. No mercy for malice. Yeah. I don't know. I was having to think about this earlier, and I just, I genuinely think she is now this card is the focal point of pretty much just like getting the access to, after the consistency, the wider part of the engine. So, for example, like, Red Ransom will get you to either Malice in the Mirror or Malice in Underground. At that point, I think this is the main facilitator. Sorry, and it banishes one when it's banished. It kind of just does everything. Whilst White Binder is amazing at banishing 3 from the graveyard, kind of at this point, if you're banishing 3 from the graveyard with White Binder, say your names, you're kind of in a bit of a weird spot. So I just feel like if you hit Red Ransom, you're kind of literally cutting it off at a focal point. They either have to hard open the Malice in Underground or the Malice in the Mirror. It cuts off a lot of power. It just really, I personally think it does check Malice quite well. Well, not that it's a meta deck now, but it's still there.
Yeah, I think Malice is a weird one because Malice is one of these decks right now that kind of it punishes players for not respecting them, if that makes sense. Like, Malice kind of came back into the fray when a lot of people were like, oh, Malice aren't being played now. I don't need to worry about Artifact Lancier. And then all of a sudden, Malice gets played, and you're like, oh, hot damn, Malice is being played. I now need to consider putting Artifact Lancer in. But you're putting 3 cards in that were massively effective against one deck, but not so good against a range of decks. So you're really limiting free spaces in a side deck, which is usually always quite important, a side deck, because a side deck is kind of, you play 2/3 of your games are in the side deck, and you kind of have to make that decision earlier on. Okay, Terry, take us through the next card on the ban. If you don't have any more cards that you wish to be banned, by all means move on to the limited section if you wish to do that.
I don't know if I'd say banned, but I'll definitely at least limited. Probably be triple tactics first. So I think it's too similar to Talents, where it's a bit too versatile. Like first or second, it's a bit too strong. Yeah, I'll probably say limit. I don't think I'd say outright ban it. I'd say like limit it. Same as Talents.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these really weird ones at the moment where it's exactly like you said. It's kind of going first, especially with so many like turn 0 monsters that put themselves on the field. So you've got the Bystials, less so relevant right now, but you've got the Bystials, you've got the Canine package of Azuna, you've got Phimena that works into Arfulion or to Gulamel, whichever one you kind of want to go for. Mitsurugi, Pure, and Yummy don't really have that. But the thing that kind of gives you is it gives you the ability to either set directly a floodgate if you're choosing. Because when you actually look at it, if we're being logically, the cards that get set when you go first with a True Tactics Thrust are usually a turn skip where possible. So like different dimension grounds or I think like Harpy's Featherstorm. I think that the fairest one is probably the Black Goat Loss, just because Black Goat Loss only designates one card. Like it's probably the most fair one you could go for. But you still have other cards like Eradicators that could be quite useful for you. I don't mind it for going second, because the go second option as well, being able to get stuff like like Evenly Matched, Lightning Storms, Harpy's Overdust, it's kind of good. But I can kind of see the argument behind it, where you're like, oh, okay, True Tactics Frost is still one of them generic options that maybe causes a couple of issues. I mean, it definitely does seem pretty busted when you're like, you go seconds. Right, okay, cool. So, True Tactics Frost. I feel that it's probably a little bit early to do something to it, because it's just everyone's now has access to it. But I could definitely see that maybe it happens, maybe something down the line. Oh, I don't know if this just dropped off again. Or we just lost someone in Discord. This is why it's so difficult.
All right, well, I can still hear you.
Yeah, cool. All right, fine. Gotta love technical. Right, okay, so let's move on to the next one. So the next one that I'm going to be looking at, very short, very sweet, very simple. Qualis Aruja is going to be the barrier statue of Torrents. Purely because they've touched every other barrier statue. Maybe they'll complete the set and get rid of Torrents. I don't think they will, which is why it's further down the illogical line. But it's just something to kind of keep minds open for. Shane, back to you. Do you have any more cards you wish to be banned, or are you looking at your limits now?
For me, I personally still don't think Obedient Schooled is a fair card. Even with it at 1, I've seen many a game state where players have managed to interrupt the yummy player or the yummy Mitsu player, whichever, to the point of, okay, cool, Obedient Schooled. And it's just like, just getting them 3 bodies on field. I think the downside of the card is not enough. In all honesty, I know it beast locks, but it still gets you to that point where, yeah, cool. I've exhausted your resources, and here I go with my 3 cards. So for me, I think Obedient School should just be you put to rest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens because I feel that there's a way where maybe, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on in the video, or maybe as I pass over to Terry, he might have something to say about it. But I feel we could possibly see a world where one of the main deck yummy monsters, something that is important, or something like Cupsy, gets hit quite significantly, and then maybe a Beanie School stays at 1. Again, as we said at the start of this video, we're not saying that everything we say on this list is going to happen, but one of something within the categories of the decks they affect possibly could happen. Okay, cool. Terry, let's go through your next one.
For a limit, I'll take Mitsurugi Perez, I think. I'll say it deserves the limit on the next list.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely something that could be logically seen as well.
yeah. It kind of helps the deck play against, like play through its one of the strongest hand traps against it, being draw. You can just go like prayers and draw phase, tribute, whatever. That's 2 searches, and then unless you have like the bell or the ash, almost unless you have bell or ash, it's so like draws almost feels too late by the time you control them. So I think you need to interrupt the prayers or put it to 1 really.
Yeah, I think I could definitely see that happening. The fact of the matter is, what they've got to try and do, which is going to be interesting to see how it happens, is they have to try and calm the power of Mitsurugi's as it currently stands. So they calm the power of what it can do without decimating it. Because obviously they want to, from a product point of view, they want to make sure that the legendary modernized decks are still going to be sought after. And you never know. Maybe they bring a new Mitsurugi card in that. Maybe as a TCG exclusive for the near enough the first time ever, we get the next card rather than the OCG. But time will tell on that one. I do feel that something could happen. I feel Prez is the fairest one to hit because I completely agree with you. There is also another one on the list that maybe Shane talks about even next or in a while that could go hand in hand with this. Whether they would hit both at the exact same time or not, I don't know. But it would be very interesting to see. So, Shane, take us through. I'll tell you what. If you pick 3 cards, we'll kind of pick this up so we don't take forever on this one. But if you pick 3 cards, place them where you want them, and then just give us an explanation of where you're going to put them, and we'll do it in threes.
Sure. Right. So for me, I would put pre-prep to 1. I would put Jockle to 1. And I would put Snatchy to 2.
Ooh, Snatchy to 2. Okay, run us through the reasons behind those 3 cards.
So pre-prep again, it's a consistency hit to Mitsurugi without it directly hitting the deck, because obviously it's not archetypal. It's just good because you can search mirror in any one of the free names. I think if you just I think going back to what you said about Prez, it's just a 1-on-1. It's a fairer hit. Prez is such a good card. It's crazy. Jockle to 1. I mean, there's been a lot of talk. They won't hit Jockle. It's just had an old split rare print. But if you can't, anyone who's played since 2017 onwards will remember Zodiac. I don't know. Whiptail, getting old 0 rare and going to 1. And plus, it reduces the splashability a tiny bit more in because this and any level 5. It just hits the consistency. And Snatchy to 2, it's just a love tap for Yummy. Like you hit the other cards and just give it a love tap, just much like Ryziel and Malice got the first time they experienced any form of Banlist. It just makes it so you have to be a bit more mindful about your resources. You can't just power free Snatchy. If you go through 2, you need to start thinking about how you're going to recycle them and how you're going to bring them back, etc. Just you have to think a bit more about what you're doing.
Yeah, completely agree on all 3 of those. I think Jockle, I personally, if I was just to rearrange the limit, I'd probably see that the most logical would be Jockle, then preparations, and then prayers. And I don't know why I would steer so far away from prayers, but I think 1 or 2 of it, one or either of these definitely gets. I would almost like to bet that would probably get hit.
I mean, obviously, I'm a I'm a Mitsurugi player myself, and I want Prez to stay at 3, but being logical, it's not going to happen. I think there's a lot of sentiment around Mitsurugi might potentially get a new support in the future due to it being named in a legendary deck, etc. However, there's nothing to say that prayer goes to 1 for now, and then again it gets brought back to 3 later down the line if there's other hits to the deck. I think pre-prep is a big one because obviously pre-prep is just pretty much search Habakiri, search Mirror. I mean you can search any of the 3 names. But I see why you lean more towards prep as opposed to prayers. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think either. I wouldn't be shocked by either. Let's put it that way.
I wouldn't be shocked by both.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see if both get a complete obliteration. Okay, Terry, give us 3 of your cards then, and we'll try and avoid hot takes. But yeah.
Well, Bambagusa, get that nice and early. I'll go Cupsy to 1, and we'll go 5 minutes to 1 as well. Actually,
5 minutes to 1. Okay, run us through those ones.
I mean, Bagusa's just a generic floodgate. I think it's too accessible. Two rank 4s, 2 level 4s. But last like 2 turns, it's a bit too strong. Too generic. Cupsy, it's the best yummy main deck monster. I think if they want to hit the like the yummy variants across the board, you put Cupsy to 1. So that way, like, it's harder for them to have like follow up. Like, it's easier to interrupt their starting board when they're setting up. Farmina, it's more of like a hopeful pick. But it's just like turn 0 plays. I think it's a bit too strong. You're gonna have to play on your opponent's turn 0, and like discard your whole hand if you like get advantage from it. It's a bit too strong at the minute.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that apart from it being technically like a 3 card combo, that's probably its biggest downside. It's the fact it doesn't rely on your opponent to do anything. Like at least Izuna, which was probably, I mean, there'll probably be some card that existed that I blanks my mind, but Izuna I think was the first hand interaction card, or one of the first ones, that relied on your opponent to do something to then summon itself down. I suppose like Nibiru counts as well once it hit 5 summons, but like all you need to do is wait for your opponent to activate a monster effect in the hand or the grave, and then it summons itself down, gets you another card, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think Femena. We'll talk about another card in a second because I'll put that up there in a minute. I feel that one or the other would happen between the 2 cards. I completely agree with Cupsy. I think Cupsy, well, not even think, Cupsy is probably the best main deck monster for Yummies. And I feel that if they want to try and promote the reprints of Mitsurugis, the TCG exclusive and all of that stuff, that it will probably be the supporting decks that limit them a little bit more. I feel you could very easily slow down Mitsurugis and then try and push them more to become a pure variant. I think right now, when you look at the best versions of Mitsurugis, they've always been with Raizuls, or they've always been with Yummies. They've already had some sort of hybrid. Yet a pure version can work just as well. It's just not as resilient or unbalanced. Like, it's definitely resilient, but what I mean is when you're playing that can also play a detonator, or you're playing that can also play Yummy combo, it obviously makes it a little bit more restricted, I guess. Okay, so going on to the next 3. So the next 3 that we're going to go talk about is, I might as well stick on with the Drakatau kind of vibes. I've got the Ketu up here. Now, maybe it will probably be Rahu rather than Ketu. But I feel that Ketu being the search, but then also the fusion for going second, I feel that maybe you go, right, limit Rahu, give you Ketu. And what you're ideally aiming to do there, because of all of the way that the Drakatails work, is you're trying to limit their consistency. So they're still going to be able to get direct access to them, but it then makes you think that when you're activating the trap cards, rather than putting the trap cards on a continuous loop of putting themselves back and drawing, you need to then recycle your Rahu, you need to recycle your Ketu. I don't feel that they're that strong enough to be banned as of yet, but I feel that maybe 1 or maybe 2 cards in the Drekatao strategy would possibly get a bit of a love tap or a bit of a hit on it. I'm trying to stay away from the hot takes on this one at this moment in time. I feel, and again, sticking off the back with Shane, because I completely agree with this one as well, is Lacrima, and I'm going to put Sun and Sorceress up here. These are 2 cards that have recently come back to 1 on the previous Forbidden Limited list. Summon Sorceress, I haven't seen anywhere. Now, there is probably someone out there that has played Summon Sorceress and goes, actually, Summon Sorceress does this. And I'm like, okay, noted, it can't come back to 3. But I feel with its errata, it's really not doing a huge amount and could probably very easily be brought back to 3 and nothing changes. And then with Lacrima, again, the reason that Lacrima was such a big issue in the past was that 1200 burn damage in time. Not saying that 1200 burn damage is anything to laugh at, because the 1200 burn damage can still lead you to game, but I feel that it's something that there's no point in bringing it back to 2. You just go, cool, have it back at 3. No one is going to play 3 of it in their extra deck. Well, maybe someone on a pure Fiendsmith might do. But the recyclability of it all is absolutely fine. So I have no major quarrels with it coming back to 3. Shane, take us through your... I'm trying to think if we've got... I know we've got some hot takes left, but I'm trying to move the hot takes to the end. So let's put this up here. I think that's a bit of a hot take, to be honest. That's probably logical. There you go. I reckon up to Habakuri are kind of like logical, but take it away. Choose your next 3.
So for me, I would go Haba no change. I would go March Hare to 1. Now this, like, I'll let you be the decider on whether this is a hot take or not. I personally would like to see Hornet drones banned. And I can explain why before you decide if it's a hot take or not. So Hornet drones has always been one of them cards ever since Sky Striker were released that it always seems to be that and Engage that seem to be the go-to cards for having Striker as an engine in any deck. Now at the moment it's being facilitated with 3 Engage and 1 drones effectively in sometimes it mainly in pure yummy, but with a small engine. Now it's always drone summon token go Kagari bat drones. Now if Engage at 3, you're more likely to see a way to get 2 drones. I personally don't think even pure Sky Striker would be that bothered if drones was to go. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm not a pure Sky Striker player, but I just think, you know, it gets one in cards that have danced around, skirted around. I feel like you just, yeah, me personally, I would just like to see, I'd like to see drones go, in honesty. The March Hare is just a consistency hit for Malice. It makes it so they can't keep looping their resources during your turn during their turn and your turn. And Habakiri, I don't think you hit Habakiri and Prayers. It's one or the other. I think Habakiri isn't an unfair card. People say it's a really unfair card, and I think it is. It's once per duel. It can be ashed, and you can't use it again. I just don't think Habakiri needs to be hit personally.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you on the Habakuri. I think it's not like overly broken, not like overly busted or anything too wild, too crazy, too unmanageable. So I completely agree with you on that one. In regards to, I think March Hare is a little bit harsh, but I feel again, I think March Hare is one of these ones. I still feel the issue is when you look at these cards, right? You've got to kind of try and take into account like reprint value as well. I feel that March Hare, if it was to be reprinted in a Legendary 5, not Legendary 5, sorry, if it was reprinted in like Rarity Collection 5 or something like that, it could be quite a big draw. Now, I'm not saying that that is the case, of course, but something to kind of take into account. I feel we would probably be, and it would be very, very harsh, very unfair, but I feel it could probably be a little bit more logical that we see someone like a Dormouse getting banned, than we would do seeing a March Hare. In regards to Sky Striker drones, I don't think it's that crazy of a hot take. I think it does kind of have a bit of weight to it in regards to what it tries like as you said, I think pure Sky Striker players can of course do without it. That's like not an issue. So it wouldn't be the biggest loss of all for it to be banned.
Yeah, I mean, I see why it could be viewed as a hot take, because it's really not it's not a broken card per se. It's just always it seems to be part of the crux of not an issue, but like it's always there. Like whenever Engage is at free, and it's always there as an engine in somewhere in some deck. Oh yeah, just to make a free link 2, or to make or to do something. It's just, I don't know. If Yummy was gone, would we be talking about it? Probably not. But at the moment, while Yummy exists, I don't know. It just feels like that's just 4 more cards plus obedience scored that you might see in an opening hand that just helps you get to the Yummy side of actually playing a Yummy card.
You keep going like this, and someone's going to think you've got a vendetta against Yummies.
I mean, I did play Yummy at the start of the format, and I did play 3 Engage and 1 Hornet Drone, and I was like, this is just crazy. So I don't know if any other resident Yummy players can speak on that or not, but I always liked it. Was always a nice little easy way to get to Yummy Way, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt how generic like Engage and drones could be. Like I remember Engage and drones was, I think it was like a Verte Anaconda. It was used for something else as well. I'm pretty sure it could be used as a 1-card moon, if I remember rightly. You'd go Kazari. I mean, it did use up your extra there, but it just to show how generic it could be. Definitely. I feel that the biggest thing that you do point out is that Sky Strikers can play without it. So with Engage back to free, so someone's just made a very good point. It's like, do we think Engage staying at free was a mistake? I don't think Engage staying at free was a mistake. I think that you do limit the sackability of like Engaging to Engage is kind of limited more to Sky Strikers themselves. So now that it becomes more of a deck specific option, I can't imagine anyone is going to play 3 Engages and one Widow Anchor. Like that's just not a feasible engine. But 3 Engages and 1 Drones is. So if Drones goes, that then opens up the door, and you just be like, right, okay, cool, Sky Striker. You have Engage as your. I'm pretty sure if you were to ask every Sky Striker player ever, and you said to them, you get to all of your cards come back to free. Bows that aren't free. Engage stays at free, but drones is banned. I think 99.999% of them would go, yep, cool, no issue. So I don't think that's that hot of a take. Whether it happens or not, I probably feel it's maybe more logical than Baguska and Saruja, but yes, time will tell on that one. Okay, Terry, what have we got? We've got 2,
A lot of hot takes.
8, 10, 12. Are we saying these are all hot takes? I think some of them have justification behind it. I think some of them are,
Not like the Tails Dragons. I think they could come back to true.
Because these all are 2 at the moment, aren't they? So we're saying we're going to free the Black Wyvern.
I think both of them comes free.
White Wyvern, Black Collapse. Tell you one card is missing on here that Shane did point out. I'm going to see if I can add it because I did have it for some reason. I had it here.
What card did I wait out?
Is it another Yummy card?
Eclipse Wyvern. It's another Yumi card. Yeah.
Oh, Eclipse Wyvern. Yeah, that.
Okay, so I can only imagine what you're going to say about the White Wyvern and Black Collapse. It makes sense. They are. It does help support the rockets that are coming. It does help support the kind of the goal that they're trying to achieve. So that makes sense. I think they're great. I would love to have them back for Chaos plays. I don't know how far they're going to lean into the dragons themselves, like the rocket cards. But considering we've also just had another rocket card announced for Is it Blazing Dominion or the next one?
I'm pretty sure it's Blazing Dominion.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that happening. That's not anything too crazy for me seeing it come back. And to piggyback off the back of that selection, and I'm going to let Shane jump in on this one as well, because we actually do have a couple of other cards up here for rockets and kind of involvement at all. So we're going to talk about, so these are hot takes, but I think they're quite logical hot takes within reason, just because we're talking about rockets. So we've got Chaos Space, we've got Borrowed Savage Dragon, and we've got Eclipse Wyvern. Now, for me, my hot take of these three would be that Savage Dragon comes back. My reason for Savage Dragon coming back is the pure fact that it's an Omni-Negate, but it does require, it has more ways of interaction now, because you could very easily go, okay, cool, well, we're just gonna, disrupt the Link monster they're trying to re-equip with it. It does also require you to have to play Link monsters as well. So it does limit the type of decks that can play it. And I feel that in the past we've had it abused by, like, the outside decks that were abusing it that did end up getting it put on the ban list was Snake Eyes. So Snake Eyes without original Sinful Spores around is probably not as dangerous, or not as not as feasible as they once were. So
Did Kit I might be butchering what it used to be called. Did Kitchen Sink play Borrowed Savage? Remember that it was like the 10-year Rocks Rose Dragon adventure, like 60 cards wild.
card with what are called, the Mechanicos. 60 card Mechanicos with the Ritual TCG exclusive. What are they called? Oh, it was like the Flame Kid and the what was it bloody called?
Oh, Libromancers.
Libromancers, that was it. It involved the Libromancers as well.
Yeah, it was because 60 card kitchen sink deck. I remember that. It's funny.
So that's kind of why I think Savage Dragon could come back. And again, this is a combination. This isn't like I reckon one of these three could possibly see a return. So being the Eclipse Wyvern, just because of how well it does help out the Rockets, or Chaos Space. I think Chaos Space could possibly be one of those cards they put to, what is, like, I'm pretty sure it's limited now, isn't it?
So one, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably something that I could see coming back to 2, and they'd just be like, let's test the waters and see how it works. Or they're going to be like, here, you can have Eclipse Wyvern back, or you can have Borrowed Savage Dragon back. I feel that there could be something that comes back to help promote the Rockets in one way or another.
No, definitely, I agree. It makes logical business sense, doesn't it? It's going to help push product, and I think I don't know, out of the three, I don't know which one is the most logical. Probably Borrowed Savage is probably the most logical, because that will get conversation going. Chaos Space helps Dragon Link as opposed to more than Rockets. So
correct, yeah.
Yeah, I think Borrowed Savage is probably the more correct one.
Cool.
Oh, well, actually, that's a good comment there. Savage will be used in Dracotel with a new Magistus and Albaz monster. Well, I don't know.
Very true. Yeah. But then they have to get a Link monster and not use Rahu. So maybe it is just replace one evil for another, because you'd go limit Ketu, limit Phimena, and then go, oh, hey, have Savage Dragon. This is an Omni-Negate. Maybe. Yeah. Well, maybe it's going to be Eclipse Wyvern that's more logical then. Let's not give with one hand and take with the other. But then again, on the flip side, it would actually promote the use of the new Magistus monster and the that's a monster.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's still a selling point, isn't it? To get. Is it Spoon? Was it Spoon?
Spoon, yes. Oh, mate, Spoon for Magistus are so good.
Spoon.
Spoon. Okay, another one is the Chaos Dragon. I don't think this is coming back. It'd just be really cool if it did come back. I don't want to spend much time on it. It's just a crazy, crazy hot take, which is further down this end. Yeah, that's proper mil 5. Okay. Ripper. Now, Ripper, there's a couple of Shane and Terry have both mentioned. It would have to be banned. There is no point, in my opinion, limiting it. So I don't. I think possibly Jockle gets hit before Ripper. But I could be so wrong. It just does too much.
I can see it getting on OCS ulti and then down the line getting a hit.
Yeah,
I won't think it'll be for a while.
I don't know. I don't.
I mean, it's generic. So like any 2 level 5s, Brigion's K9, and then negate from hand, like loop protection or whatever you do.
I know VSK9 is still about, and you've probably got the odd. There's lots of lists that might be playing X engine with K9, but I don't think K9's doing enough at the moment. And even if you hit all the other decks, does that make K9 the best engine? I don't know. I think if K9 was everywhere and we were just constantly like seeing K9, 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 then yeah, I would agree. In a vacuum, it is a powerful card, but I just don't know if it's on their radar at the moment. Personally, and, I could be completely tone deaf here, and majority of the player base, this is the one card people are complaining about, but I'm not hearing it or seeing it at the moment. Personally, I don't know what your guys' experiences have been.
Yeah,
well, I've not seen much K9 recently.
Yeah, I think it's difficult.
It's tough, isn't it? Because like there's no disputing how good of a card it is and what it does. I don't know. It's just
It's very simple. It is one of them ones that is just I wouldn't say too fair, but it's definitely one of them ones where it does make it I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. There's not loads of level 5s running around, level 5 decks. But if you make it harder to make, then maybe it balances itself back out. But I'm not sure if that's gonna be the case. Before we continue with this one, another question spotlight is: we really think they would directly hit Mitsu when they announced the new Mitsu support. Would rather sell it more than just hitting it indirectly. But so this is the thing, though. When you're taking that into account, we've already kind of discussed the new products that are coming. What you need to do with Mitsu is you need to make sure that it doesn't dominate. The most logical thing is that all the supporting engines or the supporting decks that go with it, like the Yummies and the Ryzels and that, will continue to get hit. However, I still feel that you could indirectly hit Preparations of Rites. That would not affect the sale of the legendary decks. You could also limit prayers and, again, not affect the sales of the legendary 5D decks. Because, let's put it this way, the people that are playing Mitsu or are competing with Mitsu at the highest level right now are doing that already. They've already got the Mitsu cards. They're not going to go and buy legendary 5Ds, not 5D, sorry, legendary modern decks for Mitsus, unless there is a brand new Mitsu card in there that's absolutely amazing. They're not going to do that. The Mitsus, the only thing that was really, really expensive was the Ritual Spell. Whereas now the Ritual Spell you can afford to play at 1 or 2, probably more logically 2 than anything else, and then also still get the rest of the deck without breaking the bank. Like, you can probably pick up a core of Mitsus for like 50 quid. So again, with the legendary modernized decks, it's not just Mitsurugi that's selling it. So you could afford to ban drones, you would still buy the Sky Striker deck from it. You could afford to limit prayers, you would still buy it for the Mitsu deck, and then the X-Saber deck is a benefit. Like, if we're being brutally honest, as it currently stands, the legendary 5Ds deck, I keep saying 5Ds, the legendary modernized decks themselves are not meta relevant. It's going to come down to the reprints that they involve and what else you can get with them. You're not buying them for the meta deck, because if you want them as a meta deck, you're already playing them.
I mean, realistically as well, it's like you can't. It has to be. You have to be realistic. As you can't expect that the new support is going to be amazing. Like, it's going to be absolutely meta defining as well, because and expect the cards that already exist to not get hit, because if you just don't hit Mitsurugi and then release the new product with cards that are even more broken or not broken, or they're strong, or they add even more dimensions to the deck, immediately it's just going to be more of the same. This is boring. We've had Mitsurugi for X amount of months now, and these cards just make it even worse. They're just like, whilst, because at the same time, whilst you want to push the product as well, you don't want to alienate the current player base by it being a stale, boring format, because none the best or the most consistent deck hasn't been hit, and that's part of the problem. I mean, if the new support in the modern decks is not as good as current support, then there's an argument for leaving prayers alone to a point, because it doesn't improve the deck in any way. But if you can't expect prayers to exist as well as new support that's good. Don't get me wrong, like I said, as a Mitsurugi player, I don't want prayers to get hit. I don't. But it is a very unfair card. Like, if you just look at it objectively, what it does, if you have a monster to tribute in hand, or field, or any Mitsurugi monster to tribute, you get to search and special, and then you get to it's a crazy card.
I mean, this is all assuming that Mitsurugi get new support in the legendary deck. Regardless. Anyway, what are we on? We've got 2, 4, 6 cards left. And now I think all of these are semi-hot takes, bar 1 or 2. So we'll go with the ones that aren't hot takes that I completely agree with. So Liger Dancer, Miscellaneous, and Meow Mew. So I'll let Shane talk on these as well, and Terry if he has any input on these ones. But I agree with what Shane said. Liger Dancer, you kind of need to put them in check a little bit. You don't need to completely decimate them. The deck's really good, but they do just sit on the towers and kind of hold their own there. Whereas what makes them harder to deal with is if they have 2 towers. So if you stop their ability to have said 2 towers, then you'd be able to kind of like limit them down quite a bit. Meow Mew just seems like a card that was a little bit, like, the deck, in my opinion, is power crept. It's probably like Yummies now. Like Yummies are probably the better way of doing it. But I also agree that Link 1 monsters should never have existed in the game. Link 1 monsters that do a lot should never really exist. Like a Link 1, like maybe a Lingaribo, maybe a Link Karibo, arguably is something that you kind of accept. But something that starts a combo, something that lets you do what you need to do, can get very, very messy. Maybe it doesn't come back, but it would be quite interesting to see. A Miscellaneous, if the new TCG exclusive in Blazing Domain is a dinosaur archetype, then you put it in there. And let it come back to 2, and they're like, cool, you just increase your consistency. Like, you make the dinos more important. And dinos aren't really running rampant as it currently stands. Sorry.
Yeah, my beloved dinosaurs. Yeah. So I mean, with dinos at the moment, so they lose to Dragon Lock Birds, they lose to every single one of the Mole Charmies in any capacity, and I just don't think they keep up. They just don't keep up with the modern decks of today. So even with Misket 2, I still don't think it does it bring the deck into tier 1, tier 2? No, I don't think so. It still makes it rogue. Liger Dancer, like you said, it's not just the fact you're staring down a towers. It's a double board wipe as well, and it's once per turn. So even if you manage to establish a semi-threatening field, to try and get over. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Liger effect to clear the field, and you're back to square one. And I don't have enough engine or gas now to get rid of the second, to try and get over the second Liger. If it was just a pure towers, it's fine. But the fact it's a double Raigeki that's also unaffected by card effects is just a bit unfair.
You think that's to hit the Liger Dancer, or the cards that like make it so easy to access?
Well, I have
Heavy Poly, even like Clado chip things. It's kind of like lets them summon too.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like just having the Liger at 1 just kind of just answers the question. Like it answers it more than hitting some of the consistency cards, because that's the. I think most people, if you ask most players, what's most annoying about Lunar Light, they would say, well, double light ball. I would like to think. I mean, again, maybe I'm wrong, but staring down a double Raigeki and a and
even one Ligers hard extra out.
Yeah, exactly. What one Liger can be a big enough pain as it is. Which actually segues onto Meow Meow Mew and Prankies. I mean, Prankies with Meow Meow Mew. If it comes from the Forbidden Limited list, it has double Raigeki in Battle Butler, but it's more fair because you can get rid of the Battle Butler, as opposed to as opposed to it being unaffected. And again, I think Prank Kids, since they were actually were actually viable, again you've got the Molcharmies in play now. But yeah, I just think it would just be nice to see if Meow Meow Mew came back to one if Prank Kids did anything. I don't think they would. I mean, I don't know what Dale or you think or what you think, Terry. Like, I don't know if you played when Prank Kids was here, but obviously Dale did, but I just don't. I personally think there'd just be a fun tier 2 deck that might maybe Dinkabui could take them to a final of ICS again. But yeah, I personally think just give me Mew a run at one. If it becomes broken, reverse it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be one of the ones that like how they brought Snow back and gave it a little bit of a tickle here, and they were like, hey, give this a go, see what it kind of what it can kind of do. It does kind of open up the doors a little bit as well, and kind of gives you a bit more flexibility, which I don't mind, to be honest. Okay, cool.
I mean,
go on.
I was gonna say, if people are brave enough to play Prank Kids now with no Meow Meow Mew, then they're more power to them. But yeah, it's hard to get two Prank Kids names on board. And like, I know we had you just quickly, you made the point about Link Ones. It is a powerful Link One, but it's also one of them Link Ones where it makes the deck playable without having to play excessive amounts of other engine to be able to play it. But once Meow Meow Mew got hit, Prank Kids just disappeared.
Yeah, it's also the fact that it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't actually do anything on its own. Like, it doesn't have an effect on its own that much. Wasn't the whole idea behind it that you just use it to link off?
Yeah, so literally you just linked off one of the names and it just becomes it banishes itself from grave to activate Battle Butler or any of the extra deck monsters' effects. That's what it's there for, and that's where it facilitates the double Raigeki. But if we're going to be honest, is a double Raigeki in today's current state of Yu-Gi-Oh! Really that oppressive?
Well, I mean, you did just say about a double Liger.
Yeah, but you can get rid of the Battle Butler as like with just even a droplet or an imperm, whereas Liger's just like, yeah, lol, no. That's the thing. If you can answer it, it's fair, but if you can't answer it, it's not fair. Sorry, I probably should have prefixed that.
Okay, let's talk about the last three then, because the last three I think are just going to go straight into hot takes. Some of them might be logical, and some of them are probably a little bit well overdue. Whether that happens or not, different story. So, Heavy Metaphors Electromite, I don't think it adds anything to the current game right now. Like, I think pendulums as a whole have been nerfed. But if you were to bring back Electromite, I wouldn't give it longer than 5 minutes for Triff to come up with a list that is the best pendulum list in the entire world that does this, and this. So it definitely gets the conversation going. I mean, you do have to kind of question why Electromite was reprinted in Rarity Collection as a Platinum Secret Rare and a Quarter Century Secret Rare if it's never coming back, because you can't play it in Genesis. You can't play it in Modern. There isn't currently a Time Wizard format for it, unless I've missed something.
No, there isn't.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
that one's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a conversation the other day, like when Konami or they reprint cards, you can go back as far as Duel Devastator. There were certain cards that got reprinted now at the time. You just think, what? Why on earth is this being reprinted? And then 3 formats later, oh yeah, that card was reprinted in Duel Devastator. Whether or not that was calculated or with purpose, only Konami will know. But there's so many certain cards that get reprinted in certain sets, and you think that's really weird. Why has that been reprinted? And then a ban list comes around. Oh, okay. And like you said, there's no legacy formats for Electromite to be played in. So I mean, they did say it was. Is it nostalgia? Was it a nostalgia reprint, Paul? I think it was. But even then,
correct.
like you wouldn't just print. I don't feel like you just would reprint Electromite for nostalgia purposes. There would be a reason behind it. It's not enough to sell a set, is it? So who knows? But yeah, you're right. If anyone were to find a broken deck, it would be Triff when it comes to Electromite.
To do it. Heavy Storm, I think, is probably the more logical of the two because Harpy's Feather Duster's back, right? So, what is the disregard to Heavy Storm? Apart from the fact that you now have, technically, if you want to deal with spells and traps, you've got Heavy Storm, you've got Harpy's Feather Duster. You might as well bring Harpy's Feather Duster back to 2. But then, people did make a very good point that there's times when maybe Harpy's Feather Duster is. Heavy Storm is better than Harpy's Feather Duster because there'll be times when you want to clear your own spells and traps. So I don't know how logical that argument is in that sense, but it is something very interesting to kind of think about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm unsure if Heavy Storm is at 1 in the OCG. I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of them cards. I think you could bring it back and see how it does. And then, because I mean, Harpies came back, didn't it? Harpies Feather Duster came back. I feel like you could see how it does. If it gets broken, then oh whoops. But if not, it could just be another card. I mean, they brought Lightning Storm back to 3. It was that was a bit when it went to 2. It was kind of like, huh? So I don't know. I just don't think there's any cards you could destroy that I can think of that would make it overly like, oh, I've destroyed 4 cards on my back row. Now I get to summon tokens or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't think there is a direct correlation of like, oh yeah, this does this, and oh that does that. So we probably will be pleasantly surprised, which is why I think I could definitely see it coming back.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, and then the last one that's kind of stirred up quite a bit in the chat, which is quite interesting, is Kashtira Rise Heart. Now, I'd like a Rise Up come back just because of how cool it looks. I always thought it looked absolutely amazing. I do agree, though. I mean, it's kind of a weird one because Terry brought up the point about Colossus. Now, Colossus is just quite easy to make. You can cheat it out. It's got its own inbuilt protection and da 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 da. So, what makes Rise Heart any different? Well, Rise Heart, in my opinion, is probably, I would say, maybe the same esque effect of a floodgate. Like, okay, you can't search with Colossus, but I can, and every card gets banished. Probably just as annoying to deal with. But then on top of that, it's got that quick effect banish to destroy, banish to banish. Is that right?
Yeah, detach 3, target 1, banish it face down.
Yeah, I think the only thing Rise Heart has going against it, or maybe going for it, depending on how you look at it, is the fact that it's not that generically accessible. So you can only cheat it out if you've activated Shangri-La effect, which, bar Hekahan Kashtiras, is the only modernized build I can think of. And unless you're playing a Kashtira hybrid, it would definitely help sell. Is it Rarity Collection 5 that has got confirmation that
It's got Fenrir in, yeah.
Fenrir and Unicorn are in it? It could possibly push to sell that. I feel that if it was to ever come back, it would be one of them ones that comes back and then almost instantly gets chucked back on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If we cast our minds back to the Kashtira format, I mean, it's such a polarized. It's such a polarizing card. Like, but people just do not like macro Cosmos slash dimensional Fisher like effects. Like everything gets banished. Like you said, there's not. I don't think there's many decks that could tech in Kashtira to play a Rise Heart. It would be pure Kashtira that would be able to facilitate this. And I don't know. Did it go from 3? Did it go from 3 to 1 to 0, or did it go from 3 to 0? I
think
don't
it went from
recall.
3 to 1. I'm pretty sure it went from 3 to 1.
So, I mean, Lancia would fairly be a side staple. Not necessarily. I think it'd be Cashtira would then be in that same ilk of True Draco. Like, oh god, I played Cashtira last round. Oh god, like everyone who's playing was around when Masterpiece was an actual menace, not now. I don't know. I personally can see it coming back to 1. I don't think we'd be in a tier 0 Cashtira format again. There's a lot because look at the decks. Yummy can go into it and book a moon it. Fimena, pop it. Well, actually, no, I can't because they get banished. Ignore that one. Like there's quite a few answers to it these days. Like, and it'd just be maybe your books come back in imperm, etc. I don't know. I can see why people don't want it to come back. I get it, but I don't see it being a massive. Oh, this is the end of the Yu-Gi-Oh.
And I think it'd be like Colossus when that came back. Like, everyone was really against it at first. It'd be like changing the meta. It didn't do anything.
100%.
And drew it back to 1, and
Yeah,
it'll be
exactly.
the underworld.
Everyone's Colossus can't come back. Oh, mistaken troll legs. No one's playing it. It had a little bit of resurgence. People were taking it in, but you don't see Colossus now really. If you do, it's quite seldom. I don't remember the last time I played against Colossus. It probably would have been January last year or January this year. Sorry, so talking nearly 11 months ago.
Yeah, the next we play would be like cash variants like Genesis or the one Dale said like Heckenham. Well, I don't think it'd be stop splash.
It would become an issue in the sense that we might start to see, and Mitsu is probably a prime example of this, but maybe, and I'm saying we will, but maybe we start to see like Mitsurugi cash tiers. Maybe we start to see that. It would be quite interesting to see, but there is always going to be a but side of that one. It usually comes down to the hybrids that can be made with it. If there are hybrids that exist that would make it more degenerate than it currently, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Cash tiers right now, if you were to play pure cash tiers, they wouldn't do anything. Or they wouldn't do a lot, right? They need to be paired up with something else. So maybe if you looked at pure cash tiers and a Rise Heart is back, then you're like, okay, cool, it's fine. It doesn't do anything. But as soon as we start to have a very consistent, abusable engine that can make it, it starts to become a bit of an issue. I feel that there's quite a few decks that want to use their graveyard. I feel that it's still a powerful boss monster. When you think about it as well, the Typhon didn't exist back in the day when we had it.
Nope.
I agree with you as that you would start to play against it, like the books, the eclipses, the maybe Lanciers. Not Lanciers, sorry, Chalices, Imperned. But there are other ways to do it. And I suppose if you're in Dracatal, for example, you're probably going to Feymana before they even go into Rise Heart. Like, as soon as they activate Shangri-La's effect or whatever, you probably stop them getting access to it. So that there will be ways to read the room a little bit, but I can see that it becomes a bit of a catch-22. But then again, a lot of people probably said the exact same thing for Snow. No one expected Fairy Tail Snow to come back. It came back, and when it did, everyone was like, this is not surviving. And it goes. Yeah. And another thing you can also look at is if you take, and this was well before, this is when I only just started, it was like 2012 or something, when they brought Snatch Steel back for a format. The format they brought it back for was the worst format to bring it back, because they brought it back, it was abused beyond anything, and then pretty much on the exact same next list, they got rid of it. Whereas now, it's crazy to think, if you were to go back in time and say to someone that was playing around that time, hey, don't worry, Snatch Steel's going to be back off the list and stay off the list in 2024, 2025, whenever it happened, they'd be like, yeah, all right. And it happens. Like, what I'm trying to say is, I would not be surprised if it did come. Like, if it came back, I'd be like, oh my god, this is amazing. But you're going back on the next list, just to see how much it gets played. But yeah, I think there's cards that come back off the list that I would be more shocked at than Rise Heart, maybe.
I would play Cashtera for the entire format if a Rise Heart came back. I don't care. I could go X4 every tournament. If I got to play with a Rise Heart again, I would play it every single time I went to a tournament for the entire format. And you can hold me to that. Like,
So I'm so holding you to that. But I also think that you said that because you're not even confident that it's coming back as well. You picked this as like one of your crazy hot takes off the list.
Yeah.
You just closed your eyes, pointed a finger at something, and went, Norden, no. Rise Heart, no.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, I still have one copy. Just like, so you remember I was saying Masterpiece will come back. You're like, nah, Masterpiece is never coming back. Masterpiece is back. Honestly, I would love to see it come back. But yeah, it's definitely my crazy hot take. I don't see it coming back. It'll be when we're in such a graveyard centric format that they need to bring him back, but we're not there yet.
Need him back to check the format.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's kind of like our prediction list. Now, what I want to do as our final bit is I'm going to remove all the hot takes, unless there is something you logically think would be here. Is there something on this logical hot take that you think that you would bet? So this is our predictions. We're going to go for solid bets. So you have to be 100% confident in what you're going to choose. Is there anything on the hot takes that you think could adapt, and I'll put it into the list that you think he's going to go to?
Maybe Storm, I think, could come back. Definitely come back to one.
I'm good. I would go for Eclipse Wyvern purely because the OCG deemed that it can come back, and it just makes a bit of sense for the supporters coming out. How long has it been banned for now? Best part of 8 years, I want to say.
Something crazy. Time flies.
No, sorry, 6 years.
Okay. On the free section here, what are we saying? Do we think this is all logical? These four are logical? That could actually happen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then semi-limits, keeping in mind that this would also include your limits in your band. Do we think that it's more logical that Snatchy Yummy gets semi-limited than it is Cupsy gets limited, is what I'm basically trying to say here.
I don't see I don't see Cupsy getting limited.
You don't see Cupsy getting limited?
I personally don't. Me personally.
Do you feel... I feel Misk really comes down to if the new TCG exclusive is a dinosaur art type or not. If it's not, this stays where
with Misk, I'm speaking from my heart as opposed to my head. I don't see Misk coming back for more than one, personally.
Okay. I'm just trying to clear these down. I'm basically putting a list together where we could all go, this is a list. I reckon this is what the list will look like. And I'm curious to how close to the actual list we get. Now, there could be some absolute curveballs that they bring out and we're like, whoa, didn't see that happening. Do we think Liga Dinosaur would honestly get limited? I agree that they probably need to get checked.
I personally think that is what they hit. Me personally, I would be happy to bet on Liga going to one.
Ketu or Feynano?
Ketu, I think.
Ketu. I agree on Ketu.
Yeah, I think it should be Formula, but I think Ketu's more likely.
I'll be amazed if they do Jockle and Ketu, considering they both just got ulties, but you never know. Prayers, pre-prep or both? I reckon they pre-prep and then prayers.
I mean, prayers is less likely. Pre-prep's less likely to be in the product they're doing, I think.
Correct. Yeah, I reckon it also plays red. To be fair though, this plays harder into draw, whereas this doesn't.
Yeah.
Prayers or pre-prep?
Oh, this is tough. I want to say.
Pre-prep's +1, isn't it? So I think pre-prep's probably.
Yeah, I think they both can be Astral Belled, can't they? I've got to stick with prayers. I still think prayers is one. I still think prayers is the one to get hit.
Okay. I think Red Ransom's very logical because it would follow the OCG and the Master Duel. So I can see that happening. I could see Herald happening. I think they're going to miss this heavy storm. I think they're going to miss it.
No, I completely agree that I reckon they will miss Harvey's Feather Storm. It should be hit, but they won't.
I reckon Obedience School is going to get overlooked as well.
Yeah, quite much.
Honestly, I don't think Obedience is still enough.
I don't think the barrier statue gets hit. I don't think they see drones either.
No, they won't. No, they won't see drones. Drones will be left alone.
I think a list could look something like this.
Yeah.
Minus the hot takes, but I reckon we could see something like this, and I don't know if it changes enough. I think it means that the pure Yummy have to use the secondary field spell to play through Nibiru. I think it also brings Nibiru back into the limelight a little bit. It makes Loonlight's a little bit more manageable. It reduces the consistency of Draco Tales, but I don't know if it reduces it enough. I think there's probably still more that could be reduced. I think it also reduces the consistency and follow-up for Canines. And I think it makes Malice not nearly unplayable, but they then need to find replacements for Red Ransom or alternatives.
Yeah, I think only hitting Red Ransom probably wouldn't, like Igiri Takato said, probably wouldn't be enough. So, but obviously, I still don't know what main deck monster you hit. Could Arthalion be a possible hit for Draco? I don't think so. I don't think Arthalion needs a hit really. Not yet. I still think a Malice main deck name should be somewhere on there.
Anything of Malice, it'll be Dormouse. Either that or they put White Rabbit to 1. And then you're slowly trying to drag out Malice. But I think if any main deck for Malice was to be here, it would be one of those, rather than Marcher, would be my opinion.
Considering the Magician support, it'll be hard to keep the deck in check without killing it. Yeah, it's true. I think Dormouse ban probably is
probably a more logical.
Probably, yeah, probably I would say so. Yeah, because Dormouse is the main facilitator banishing the Malice card, isn't it? So yeah, you probably would ban Dormouse as well, but.
Okay, well, that's kind of it. That's been a little bit fun. It's been a little bit chaotic, a little bit kind of crazy, but so a little bit different. I like doing it as a group. I think that kind of gets a different kind of perspective on everything, and I think it kind of opens up the conversation a little bit more. So it's not just someone's random shots in the dark, and you kind of give justifications behind it. I feel we could see a list close to this. Maybe we rejoin this. We kind of rejoin this video or take a screenshot of this video when the list does drop, and see what happens. So yeah, I mean, it could be quite interesting. I mean, we're saying that Red Ransom won't do anything. It will definitely do something, because what we're trying to do here is not kill the deck. I don't think Malice gets killed. I think Malice post the next Forbidden Limited list, Malice is still playable. That is my take on that one. Malice will still be playable. The question is, how playable is it? The loss of Red Ransom takes away one link monster that could keep floating itself back. It takes away quicker, easier access to their one-off field spell that lets them extend, or Malice in the Mirror if they choose to play that. Not to mention if there's any more kind of support that comes from it. So there's still a lot to be thought about. If they wanted to really condense Malice and make sure it's not a top-end contender, that's where the Rabbit or Dormouse goes. Like, that's where one of those two gets hit even more for consistency. That's kind of, I kind of agree with that synopsis. I feel there might be a secondary hit on this one, but the only thing you do is either ban Dormouse or you limit White Rabbit, in my opinion. Anyway.
Oh, no, I agree.
We're going to wrap it up there. It's been a long stream, currently like an hour 15 at the moment. By the time I've condensed this, edited this, and got this out for tomorrow, it should be a lot tidier, especially with all the technical difficulties we had at the start. Anyway, thank you so much for every single one of you that joined us live on the chat, everyone that got involved with this. It's kind of just a nicer discussion to have. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's a game. Let's not get too attached to stuff. We obviously no one wants to kill decks. No one wants decks to become unplayable. We try to take them into logistics to weaken their consistency, weaken their kind of overall branching dominance than anything else. And that's kind of what you want to try and do in a game like this. You want to try and keep it fresh. You want to kind of keep it around. You know, experience will dictate that sometimes doesn't happen. Sometimes decks do just become absolutely unplayable. And then you also do need to take into account products coming up and how that kind of so that's what I want to logically look at as well. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you very much to Terry and Shane for joining me on this one, and hopefully we'll have them back for another one in the future. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.